Previously on Glenn on a Plane.
Jack's first day in Asia. We're already on a motorbike.
Okay, fun didn't stop there. No, it did not. The next day, our first full day, all three of us in the city, we had a tour guide that helped us around the city to teach us about things that we didn't know, including, for myself, the fact that there was a man named Ho Chi Minh. Not just a city name.
Oh, people love him so much.
Right. And like...
Uncle Ho.
Uncle Ho, yeah.
Uncle Ho.
Ho Ho.
And the coolest thing was he's still kind of around. Like, not like him, but his body is still kind of there.
We waited 2 hours in line to go into the mausoleum of Ho Chi Minh to see this dead body of a man that died in 1969 who has been embalmed and taken care of ever since.
Psst, hey, Glenn here. Just want to let you know that what makes this story even better is that we had no idea we were in line to see the body. We thought we were in line to see a complex with museums, one of which included the mausoleum. It was a minor miscommunication with the guide. Okay, back to the show.
And we just accidentally ended up in this line. We were the only white people for miles in this line. It was obvious that we shouldn't have been there. And we walked in. A lot of thoughts.
So it felt like a haunted house. Like the body is like lying down, but with the way the lighting was, it just like...
It really felt as though he was going to come alive. We all realized that's the first time we've ever seen a dead body before. I guess being Jewish, we don't ever see dead bodies. We saved ourselves for Ho Chi Minh. You also learned something else pretty major that day, too. There's a prison in town called How Low Prison. How low can you go? How low can you go? And this is the prison where good old Senator John McCain was held captive during the Vietnam War. The prison is referred to as the Hanoi Hilton, and I thought it was an actual Hilton. And I thought it was going to be a Hilton hotel that they turned into a prison, or a prison that they turned into a Hilton. But
That'd be great.
Yeah, I know,
It's like,
right?
It's like, in this room, so-and-so was tortured.
Yeah. But no, they just think that they treated, or like the American pilots said that they were treated so well there that they called it the Hanoi Hilton. They were playing basketball, they were playing games, they were just they were just enjoying their time so much. But as Dad put it, there's a reason why John McCain's arm doesn't move. So he wasn't.
It was so crazy.
Well.
That prison was crazy.
Yeah, let's talk about the prison a little bit.
So at one point, this prison was also built by the French that had held Vietnamese political prisoners, and the way that they portrayed the French as being these horrific people, which they may or may not have been, who knows, but then the Vietnamese, these like amazing, and they referred to them always as communists, which is so interesting to me because it has such a negative connotation. Patriotic soldiers of the Vietnamese Communist Party locked up for trying to poison the French soldiers. We're like, no shit!
Yeah, exactly.
But the way that they're portrayed is just, they have so much pride.
It's always French colonialist, American imperialist, Japanese fascist, but yeah, it's like patriotic revolutionary soldier, a patriotic comrade so-and-so.
The rhetoric that was being used throughout the exhibits at the prison just kept on hitting home. And because we're supposed to be the good guys.
Nếu có Mỹ và chính quyền Sài Gòn do Ngô Đình Diệm đứng đầu đã thẳng tay đàn áp khủng bố chống lại nhân dân miền Nam, chiến lược chiến tranh đặc biệt thất bại, Mỹ đã chuyển sang chiến lược chiến tranh cục bộ với sự tham chiến trực tiếp của hàng vạn binh sĩ cùng với hàng triệu lính quân lực Cộng hòa gây bao tội ác tàn bạo tại miền Nam Việt Nam. Ngày 5 tháng 8 năm 1964, cứu vãn tình thế, Mỹ gây ra sự kiện Vịnh Bắc Bộ lấy cớ ném bom miền Bắc. 1965 để của Mỹ mở rộng chiến tranh ồ ạt ném bom miền Bắc, leo những nấc thang cực kỳ nguy hiểm, đe dọa cả hòa bình và an ninh thế giới.
And I really struggled during all of this because, you know, I don't like seeing the U.S. not portrayed well. Of course, I wasn't around that time, but
It was a hard time, let me tell you.
that I don't think it was our place to go to Vietnam and fight someone else's war. You know, what place does the U.S. have to come into another country and try to stop someone's beliefs? But that's neither here nor there. It's just, I don't know. It posed a lot of questions for me, and it was really interesting to think about.
This is really one of the first times that I've really seen the other side of the history book. The Vietnamese being in the U.S. created this country's identity, basically.
And they've beaten so many different beaten so many other big countries over the years. They're always the
underdog.
Always the underdog, and that's what brings them all together.
It was really interesting to talk to our guide as much as we did and understand his perspective of everything and understand why he loves his country so much and this form of government and
everything's peachy there. I tried to ask him in every which way, you know, what problems does your government face or your country face? Much like every country, every government faces problems. And
I don't know what you're talking about. The U.S. isn't facing anything right now.
He was like, no, everyone's happy. No one really cares about politics. I was like, what social issues are you being plagued with? He's like, no, really just the only thing is, you know, the South China Sea, that's kind of an issue. But, like, otherwise everyone's happy. And I'm like, okay. I was like, no education, no poverty, no, I think it's great. So, like, there's a little tinge of brainwash there that it's kind of concerning because it's not possible. The north, where we are in Hanoi, tends to be a little bit grittier, and of course they were the side that, you know, were for communism, and the U.S. fought against the north. This tour guide, and you can tell the people here not only love Ho Chi Minh as we've said, but just really believe in the communist social movement. And at one point I was convinced that this might work.
Glenn was almost a goner. We were like, don't do it.
Because the thing is, as Jack pointed out, it's not purely communist or socialist. Like, obviously they have a lot of free trade and
being part of that WTO.
Oh yeah.
He was really. Our guy is really like, proud of the fact that they joined the WTO before China and before Russia. But yeah, I feel like the communism was big not because it was the communism itself, but that was just like the unifying ideology behind Uncle Ho used.
I didn't know any of this before we got to this country.
So on to more exciting things.
Yeah.
We continued our tour.
You know, the rest of the day with him, we walked around the Old Quarter, the French Quarter with him, and we were able to kind of see just how the city is organized, and like each street has like a name. Like there's Silver Street and Bronze Street and Gold Street. They're all not next to each other, which really bothers me. There's Sugar Street and Toy Street and Beer Street, that's right. And kind of understood the city layout.
Because as we mentioned before, real estate is very much at a premium. So everyone is either like an entrepreneur and a small business owner or works for a small business. There'd be two stores next to each other selling the exact same thing. Just yay competition. But and above that, like 2 or 3 for the next like 2 or 3 floors above that would be apartments. And you'd get to them and there'd be these like tiny alleys in between, like once every like 3 or 4 stores. And you'd get back there and they had stairs up, and I've just found that whole setup and the like, business system and like how everyone made a living really cool.
Later that night, we went and got some pho. Hashtag Jack on Tiny Chairs.
I guess unlike Thailand, where there's like street foods and
vendors that are kind of all together, like kind of out of like a cart, or yeah, like kind of congregated.
But the street food here is literally people like selling stuff like in front of their homes. And so this lady we were recommended to, she's only open at night. We sat on tiny chairs and outside kind of in the rain. Oh, it was so good. It was so worth it.
And it was really cheap too.
It was really cheap, and it was so good.
When we did the food tour, we found out about this dessert, and it's called bobia.
We're definitely butchering the pronunciation of that because
Bia.
well, bia,
Bia also means beer.
yeah, but the way it's probably like bia versus bia, like. Anyways, the Vietnamese language is so hard.
There's
Yeah.
6 tones.
So if you're Vietnamese and we're pronouncing this incorrectly, we know. Who can I describe?
Yeah.
Okay, so they take this rice paper and put it down flat. They actually take 2 pieces of rice paper, and then they take what's almost like these sugar cane crunchy sticks, and they put it on top of it, and they take fresh coconut and they grate that and put it on top, and they sprinkle some black sesame seeds, which sounds crazy, but it like really makes a big difference.
It really does.
And then you roll that all up and you eat it like a delicious Vietnamese dessert taco.
So good.
So good.
Delicious.
That was really cheap too. We got 3 for about $1.
Some other things that we did in our days in Hanoi. We went to this thing called a water puppet show.
I had no idea what to expect. It was weird.
Yeah, I didn't really know what was happening too. I just wasn't really in it. But what did y'all think of the puppet show?
It was a very traditional Vietnamese thing. It actually comes from originally from Ha Long Bay, where we are now. And it was cool. It was something different. And I'm sure it would have been a lot funnier if I understood Vietnamese. But,
Or knew the stories.
yeah, or that.
Yeah. It was
The
weird.
whole thing was weird. But actually it was the
It
whole
was cool.
story was weird, but like, 'cause we didn't know what was going on.
The logistics of it.
Yeah,
Like, I
that-
appreciated it.
I
Mhm.
don't know, there's
Yeah.
a lot of talent.
Other things we did, we went to the Citadel.
No, we can skip that. All right, let's talk about the cooking class.
I thought the Citadel was cool.
The thing I like best at the Citadel is we'd seen so much like Vietnam War, like French colonial Vietnam, and now this was ancient Vietnam, like going back as far as because Hanoi is is a 1,000-year-old city, and you got to see like, the more ancient history.
I'm more of
I
a
skipped that
modern
part.
type, yeah. I was looking up restaurants.
But Jack taught us a lot.
Yes.
And then after the Citadel, we did a cooking class.
Yep.
Um,
It was focused on northern Vietnam / Hanoian food.
with it, we did a market tour. Market day, everyone loves good market day. Flowers
and fruit. So much to do. We sing that every time we go to a market.
Saw some good stuff. Made some good dishes.
You know, it's fun getting street food, but it's also fun to learn a little bit more about the traditional dishes.
So then after the cooking class, we went to the spa. We decided that since hashtag Jack Does Nam SB2K17, it doesn't have to be all touring and walking around all the time. We can pamper him a little bit, show him the way.
And we really needed a foot scrub.
Yeah, Glenn and I needed some pampering for our feet.
We're on these bad boys all the time. My feet are barking.
Jack, what made this spa experience even more special?
So all the therapists were visually impaired to some degree. Didn't test how far.
And
I love supporting local, like, things that help
yeah,
different organizations. They wouldn't have work otherwise, and so it was
Did a good
really
job.
Yeah, it was really good.
well, we were nice and relaxed, and everything was great, so that we could wake up early this morning and get in a van to Ha Long Bay. Ha Long Bay. Ha Long Bay. Ha Long Bay. We in the boat like Ha Long Bay. 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 We in the boat like we're in Ha Long Bay.